Hello, my name is Francois Hibert, and I'm a training supervisor at the Whistler Blackcomb Snow School. And today I'm going to go over the Teaching Steeps Level 1 internal certification. There are two components to this course. There's a theory portion, which we'll cover together today, and there's an on-snow portion, which you will cover with one of our trainers on the mountain. The main goal of this certification is to give instructors the tools that they need to teach safely in steep terrain. The session is now mandatory for any instructors who teach on double black terrain. There are two levels to this program. The first level will allow you to access the following double black runs. On Whistler, you'll be able to access the horseshoes, Kokolorum, Stefan Chute, and on Blackcomb, you'll be able to access the blowhole, Takalolo, and the Sudan Couloir. There are a couple of different components to this program. One of them is the decision-making process, which we'll cover in detail in a few minutes. We have our class management principles and processes, and we also have our skiing standard. We'll look at the different components of the ski standard. Obviously, the ski standard will be evaluated on snow. If we look now at our decision-making lights, they look like so. They have green, and we can see that when they're all green, we can access double black terrain. So let's go over in detail the different components here. So we have in the first light on the left, the EE, which is the equipment and the environment, and then PP, which is the psychological and physical condition of the student, and then finally the TT, which is the tactical and technical skills of the student. The equipment is something that we should check first and foremost in the morning before we go to any of that sort of steeper terrain. And so it really refers to the right type of ski. So a little bit wider ski, at least 90 millimeters underfoot is desirable on steeper terrain. Well-adjusted bindings with the appropriate din setting, and skis that are well-tuned. The environment refers to everything the mountain throws at us, really. So the weather, snow conditions, visibility, the wind, the terrain features and the run layout, and your knowledge of the terrain. Now, if we look at the second light, the student condition, so the psychological state of the student, how is their energy level? Are they fatigued? How are they likely to react, my students, once I bring them into a little bit of a steeper run? And also how they're feeling on that day. So they could be feeling really good on their skis and really in a good mood and ready to attack the mountain, or they could be on the opposite end of the spectrum, not feeling super confident on that day. So really important to check in with your students there. The physical aspects, so that's something that comes into play as well on a multi-day lesson, or when the day wears on or later in the day. So just really if they're just physically fatigued, and really consider what you've done before, also earlier in the day there, and how fatigued your students might be. And then the third light, tactics and technique. So basically, a lot of what that comes down to is, can my student control their speed on steeper terrain? Are they balanced? Are they able to pivot their skis and edge and manage that speed? And it's really important that those skills are acquired before you get to that terrain. And so as we can see here, when we have everything in our favor, all the lights are in the green, then we can proceed to new terrain or double black terrain. In the next situation here, where we have a couple of lights that have turned red, then we don't want to go into that new terrain or double black terrain. So in this particular example, psychological light is out, so possibly the student's not feeling as confident or they're a little bit scared, and the technical component isn't quite there. Maybe they just don't have the steering skills or the ability to really go safely in that terrain. And so in that case, we would not want to go into that terrain. So it's really a go, no-go type of decision-making process here. So as we just discussed, if any portion of the lights are in red, no new steep terrain advised. Practice skills and build confidence on easier terrain. Now if we go over a few class management principles. So one of the first things for yourself is to know the terrain. So the instructor should have some good terrain knowledge. It's not a bad idea to go ski these runs before you take a group down there. So you should know the terrain, know the layout of the run, know where you're going to go, and that will make your life a lot easier once you get in there with the group. The other thing is that you want to really focus on is clear, concise directions. So it's important on the steeper terrain, each decision can have a bit more consequence, so really being able to have good class control and having trust in your student that they're going to listen to you, and being able to give them some good direction is really important. Personal safety as well. You need to find a safe position on the run, so not be in the fall zone. And so if one of your students has a mishap and they do have a fall, that they're not going to run into you and potentially injure you. As well, a really good class management principle is to point out the hazards to your students before you drop into the run. So, talking about maybe the rocks that are down there, or avalanche debris, or anything like that that you might see that is a hazard on the run. And then another really basic guiding principle is sending students one at a time. This is something we see very often, groups going on at the same time and not spreading out enough. You really make everybody safer, including yourself, by sending the students one at a time. And when appropriate, if it's a little bit more challenging entrance or something like that, you can provide a tactic. And the tactic often involves a bit of a timing cue to turn at a specific place, and a good demonstration there by the instructor is super valuable. Now, if you look at our skiing standard, so these different aspects of the standard here need to be demonstrated on double black terrain. One of them is a diagonal side slip, so that's a side slip, showing good edge control and being able to side slip at about a 45-degree angle to the fall line. Secondly, doing a straight side slip, so just being able to do a side slip down the fall line. Number 3 is we want to be able to do a traverse in the bumps at moderate speeds with good control. So showing good ability in there. So often when we drop into one of these steeper runs, you pick up a little bit of speed and want to be able to go over those bumpy terrains safely. And as a general performance criteria, we want to see good parallel skiing at an advanced level on double black terrain. So good pivoting, good edging, good control, and being able to demonstrate that to your students. There will be more specific criteria and with your trainers on snow, and you'll get a chance to practice some of these skills as well during the training. This concludes the theory portion of the Teaching Steeps Level 1. If you need clarification or have any questions on some of these concepts, you can always talk to your trainer on snow, and they'd be happy to demonstrate or clarify some of these processes. Thank you, and see you on the mountain.